Our founders, Mother Lurana and Father Paul, they started many, many years ago to welcome men to this mountain.
When you first get up here, you'll have to introduce yourself if you're new. And they say, tell us your name, where you're from, and what your drug of choice is.
Both started to call the men that came to Graymore Brothers Christopher. Why? Because we see in them the Lord coming to us.
And that term, drug of choice, tripped me up, because to me it was a drug of necessity. It wasn't a choice.
Father Paul was ahead of his time. Everybody was welcome. So even then, it was black, white, whoever people were. There was no discrimination.
I always just wanted to be by myself, hiding, shame and guilt and fear.
Father Paul began working with the men and realized that they had addictions and that it's going to harm everyone in a family if it continues.
I walked away from my wife, my daughter, my sister, my mother, my brother.
It took me to a place where I lied to my family, to my wife, to my son.
And we realized that in order for them to have a good chance, that they needed the support of their family.
St. Christopher's Inn, the family aspect is so important in recovery because everyone in the family is either affected by it or plays a role in it.
A lot of people think that if you just stopped drinking or stopped doing this, you'll be fine. But there is a whole other part of your life that is affected, and it's that needs healing. And in some ways, the use of drugs and alcohol becomes a symptom of other things that are deep-rooted. A lot of them go back to childhood and families.
It's a missing piece. It gives the opportunity to clear the air. I try to scrape off the old concrete from the old foundation that the disease has nicely created. And I try to build up a new relationship through the family program.
There's often, boundary issues in families. There's a lot of secrets. There's a lot of let's not talk about the elephant in the room. There's a lot of enabling that parents don't even realize, because what may seem natural to a parent to help their child in need or their spouse in need, they end up contributing to the problem without knowing it.
If somebody is addicted, that affects their entire family situation. A lot of times alcoholics and addicts say, well, I'm not hurting anybody but myself, and that's a giant, giant lie.
What brought me into St. Christopher's was my then 18-year-old son catching me in the lies. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And screaming at me and begging his mother to send his father to rehab. Being that I'd been in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, my wife a couple of times said, no, Dad will be okay, he'll go back to meetings. And I took that out. I took it for all I could get.
Family members think if they just, do better or do more or do different, that they can somehow control the other person's using. Like if I bail him out of jail this time, he'll stop using. And it's like no matter what you try, it doesn't work.
It would take both sides cooperating and working together and respecting each other for this to really, really be as powerful as it can be. The family members have to say to them, no, this is not tolerated. We love you too much to allow you to do this kind of stuff to yourself. And we love you too much to allow you to treat us this way.
And if you talk about a dose of reality, it's being a father yet sitting on the other side of the table from your son. A lot of people will look at addiction and think of the father being there to help his son who's going through addiction. It was very impactful for me to sit as the afflicted one, the one who's suffering from addiction, and having to face my wife and my son.
Oftentimes, they're so afraid, well, I don't want to hurt my son, I don't want to hurt my daughter and stuff. In the meantime, they're watching them kill themselves.
The inn and the people who were involved in the family program, they worked with my wife and my son to help them understand the disease, to help them understand addiction, to help them understand their roles. And for them to gain an understanding like that was important to them. It was a big moment for us to come to terms.
Generations of unhealth are sitting in front of me, but everybody has to learn how to respect themselves and set the boundaries. And it doesn't mean that the guys aren't going to love them if they say no. And I tell the men, sometimes you have to walk away from the biological and go to the logical family that is going to help you stay clean and sober.
Many of the men that come here have a loss of their own family. They've literally been asked to leave their family. This is why the importance of us calling them Brothers Christopher. And they discover something that they never had. They discover a brotherhood, which is part of family. And I think that sense of belonging and being accepted makes them feel like they've come home.
Today, as a result of being a Brothers Christopher, I have a huge extended family of not only the Brothers Christophers that I came through the program with, but also Brothers Christophers that I've met who have come behind me, their families. It's people that I've met in the rooms. It continues to grow. So I'm connected and in ways that I never imagined.
The bond you have with the other men, the men that you went through it with, is extremely strong, and you learn to care for others.
We all help one another. It's the whole sense of brotherhood. That means that they affirm one another when they're doing great, and we pull one another up when we're not doing so great.
I remember my mother saying to me, "You're not just back, but you're better."
The friars aren't just here to house you and clothe you and feed you. They listen to you, they talk to you, they understand this disease like nobody else, and they have such a sympathetic ear, yet there's nothing they haven't heard.
I wouldn't have what I have without being here. And that's why I come back to give back to the guys and let them know that, you know what, there's hope out there. This is home. To me, this is home on this mountain.
Out in the world, addicts are treated with shame. They're jailed, they're arrested, they're degraded, they're told they're not good people. The first thing you're told when you're here is that you're a good man worthy of love and respect, which made me cringe when I first got here, because I certainly didn't feel that way.
I could spend a lot of time talking about my gratitude towards the friars. They saved my life.
When we see them at the end of their stay here, for clients who complete the program, we do what's called a separation. It's kind of known in the community that the thrift shop at St. Christopher's Inn, that the men get suits when they leave here, and so we get a lot of people donating suits. And you really have to earn that suit, so to speak.
It's a wonderful building, and so you walk up to the third floor up these big wooden steps in this old stone building. And then, you know, you're looking through these racks of suits that were given to the inn by people who don't even know us, in beautiful condition. Sometimes they're brand new. And just try something on. You look in the mirror, and suddenly you have a whole new picture of yourself. You see a future. Given the fact that I had come from being homeless and unemployable and hopeless, the fact that I hadn't showered for 3 weeks, and the stench that came off of me, and being able to look at who I was some 90 to 100 days later, looking in a mirror in a suit that was being given to me. That's a powerful experience.